You're calling from a 612 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Michael. This is Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. It's good to hear from you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, but I'm a little bit concerned.
Oh, okay.
The New York Times recently had an article on the Trump administration possibly changing the definition of sex as to eliminate trans people.
Yeah.
And this would have far-reaching consequences.
Yep.
And so I'm calling basically to request that you get somebody address this on what the consequences would be, how they would affect people. Because
Definitely.
This is a time when it's something that could seriously affect me. The most immediate effect that I've read about is it would affect the bathroom debates in among trans in the military and in schools. And that doesn't affect me, but it could affect me in other ways because I get assistance and things like that.
Right.
I'm older. I get medical care. I don't know how this would affect me. And I don't care if the person you talk to is trans or just that they're informed. But I would really, really appreciate some expert coming, or just you or Sam talking about it.
Definitely.
If you could find out what this would be.
We're
it's something that has me really worried.
I hear you. I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, we're I saw that today. I was out of the loop yesterday.
Disgusting.
Out of over the weekend, and I think and there's been a couple of stories in the Times where they've leaked some truly grotesque, horrifying policies. This policy, and also one on I think deporting or something with legal immigrants that had accessed government services, I think it was, if I'm recalling correctly. Yeah. It hasn't actually been deployed yet. So, but no, I mean, that's on the docket. Definitely to get a guest and also to not only talk about, more in depthly than I did today. I basically just wanted to read up on it more. But that's something that we're going to, but that's something that's just going to be part of regular coverage. I think part of it, I do think, and this is both really disgusting and maybe, I don't know what the right word is, but some of those stories I see like it reads to me potentially less like policy and more like midterm base turnout. But obviously I wouldn't put anything past these people, and we're going to be all over it.
Well,
and of course, it should go without saying that it won't stop with the trans community.
Right, of course not.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, of course not. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, the role that conservative notions of gender roles play in the conservative movement, there's been lots of material on that, and I'm sure we could get someone to do it. I mean, it's all about enforcing these rigid hierarchies, and we've seen several fascist movements that were extremely conservative about gender because they're interested in defining women by their biology and then using them. They see us as, reproductive labor. We're baby machines for the Reich, right? And when you stop seeing people as human beings, you stop respecting their gender categories, among other things. So it's really scary. I went to a talk at the Socialism Conference on the history of capitalism and the gender binary that I thought was super interesting. But that doesn't cover everything here, right? Because there are certain formations of capitalism that's perfectly fine with having trans people be full citizens. So it's...
Well, this is a great example of what I was talking about before, where we need, in my view, something that is not just multicultural versus white supremacist capitalism, but this is a great example of serious lives, like human life at stake, that hinges on that choice, and why the false equivalencies and the stupid flattening of two profoundly not okay things, but one is
Yeah.
Infinitely. Not only is it more destructive than the other, it is much more committed to inbuilding and locking out what could arise to replace it. That's like Achille Mbembe when he writes about necropolitics. When liberal humanism collapses for all of its flaws, and you start getting to a post-humanism, to this like death politics, then you're locking out structurally those opportunities that we are going to need to exploit if we are going to change things. But anyways, being that as it may, Brenda, I hear you, and we are going to cover it extensively.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Super worried about it, and I really appreciate some way of addressing it.
I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you, seriously. And if cisgender women think this doesn't affect them, they're wrong. As a friend of mine noted, the same rubric that they will use to define transgender people out of existence is the same rubric they will use to justify dominating women's bodies, dominating biological women's bodies, I should say, because that's some Handmaid's Tale shit.
Yes. Brenda, thank you.
For some strange reason, conservatives are really worried about gay men. I can't place my finger on it.
I got to say, actually, can I? You know what, Brenda? Would you like to hear something that's a bit light that relates to what you just said?
Humor helps too.
Okay, if humor would help, I will share this with you. In preparation for some of the stuff I had to do at the Peterson conference, I won't lie and say I read all of it, but I did actually deal with some of Maps of Meaning, which is Peterson's late '90s academic book. And the story I will share that is very funny is he explains why he went from Freud, where he was drawn to Jung instead of Freud. And it was because he was having dreams of nuclear, and I know I mispronounced that word, deal with it, people. He was having dreams of nuclear annihilation. And when he went to Freud, Freud said that all these dreams were about sex. And that was ridiculous because it was about Armageddon. So he read Jung, and Jung's theories were more satisfactory. And then he reveals what his dream was. And his dream was he's sitting in a living room next to his cousin, which I think he describes as something, and I'm not being precise, Jordan, please relax, but a cousin of his who is one of the most beautiful girls he's ever seen in his life, maybe the most beautiful girl. And he's sitting with her, and he's looking at her, and he's receiving her beauty. And then an atom bomb detonates. And definitely nothing sexual about that.
No, absolutely not. And Maps of Meaning is a Game of Thrones fanfic.
Yes, I could see that. There's definitely that element. There's that element. But I just thought it was good. I liked the element though of him like, Freud just didn't get it. I'm just looking at my totally hot cousin, and then a bomb went off. It's about Armageddon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sitting next to Daenerys Targaryen, and he exploded.
Exactly. Brenda, thank you.
Okay.
We're going to cover that aggressively. We're with you. Thank you.
Solidarity.
Yeah, please do.
Of course. Thank you.